Hey everyone, welcome back to Comp 102. This is week 3, and this week we're diving into literary analysis. So, this is where your reading skills start to level up in a major way. So, most people can read a story and say, hey, I liked it, or I didn't like that. But in this unit, you're going to learn how to answer a much deeper question. What does this story actually mean? And how does the author actually create that meaning? So what I want you to do is think of it like this. If you've ever listened to music casually, you notice the overall sound. But if you're a trained musician, you can hear the layers, the rhythm, the harmony, the structure. That's what we're doing this week. And with literature, you're going to be moving from being a reader to becoming an analyst. But before we jump into the assignments, I want to make sure you have a very clear foundation. I don't want you guessing your way through this. So let's start with the most important concept, theme. So, what is theme? Theme is not just a topic, and it's not just one word like love or greed or faith. Theme is a statement about life. It's what the story is saying about those ideas. So, for example, if your topic is greed, the theme could be greed can lead to self destruction. So, do you see the difference there? One is just really a category, but the other is a truth claim about life. So, as you read this week, I want you to ask yourself, what truth is this story revealing about people or about life? So while we're working with that, we've got to really remember, kind of bring back to memory recollection, what are these literary techniques that your assignments are going to be asking you about? Okay. This is actually how authors build meaning. So literary techniques are the tools that the authors use. If theme is the message, then the techniques are how the message gets delivered. So here are the ones you're primarily going to need to be concerned with during this. One of the primary ones would be character. So I know you're probably pretty familiar with this one, but for character, I want you to ask yourself, what does this character want? So if you're looking at a particular character, what does that character want? What choices are they making? And throughout the story, does this character stay the same or do they change? And this is really important because characters often represent the theme in action. So it's pretty important for you to pay attention to. Something else that you need to focus on is the setting. Where's the story taking place? What's the environment like? Setting can create pressure, conflict, or meaning. Another really important literary technique is dialogue. I want you to listen carefully to what characters say and what they don't say, because dialogue can reveal belief, it can establish some tension, and it can also help you understand character motivation. Another one is point of view. Who is telling this story? If you ask yourself that, you're setting yourself up to understand what is hidden from us in the story and what is shaping everything that's going on, what's shaping the story. Also, you want to look at imagery and figurative language. So, start off by just looking for vivid description. Like, what's being described that I should pay attention to? Maybe the author's using symbols, or they could be using simile or metaphor. So, simile being the like and as, where they're comparing two things using like and as, or like or as, and metaphor, where they're comparing two things, but often those things are not really alike and they aren't using like or as. These things are going to add layers of meaning beyond surface level. I want you to think critically about what you're reading, and I want you to dig down deep and give me things that are beyond the surface. Another really important thing to think about is tone. And here's how you think about tone. Sometimes we get tone and mood confused, but they tend to go together. So for tone, I want you to ask, how does this author feel about this topic? Okay, what are they thinking or feeling? Does it feel like a serious thing? Is it critical? Are they feeling critical, hopeful? Does it have like an ironic feel to it? Okay, tone shapes how we interpret the message. And one of the best ways for you to remember tone is to think about mood or feeling. Because I don't know, have you ever been in a conversation with perhaps a parent where they said to you, don't take that tone with me? Or somebody's admonished you that the tone of your email might not be great. And you're thinking, but what do you mean? I'm not trying to take a tone with you, or I didn't really put a particular tone in that email. So, tone is always the author's attitude, and it goes with mood because mood is how it makes the reader feel. So, if you can think about it that way and see if you can figure out what the tone the author is using is, it's going to help you as you analyze. Also consider structure. How is the story you're reading organized? Are there flashbacks? Is there a lot of repetition in the story? Maybe there's a particularly surprising ending, there's a twist at the end or something. Structure is always going to influence how meaning unfolds. So you can kind of use this little formula, if you will, to see if you can figure it out. Theme is always what the story says, but the techniques are how the author shows it. So your job this week is to connect those two clearly. So now that you kind of understand that, let's talk about what you're going to be doing. What are your assignments? So you're going to start with your study materials, and you find those in the content section, but you're going to start by watching the figures of speech video. And then I want you to read about style, tone, and structure. So I've already given you a little bit of that, but you need to read about it as well. Use your resources that are posted there. And then you're going to read If Not Higher. This is by I.L. Pertez, and it's a really great, great story. So you're going to read that one. Okay. But then you're also going to choose one additional story. You have three choices: the welcome table, how much land does a man need, and in the moonlight. Now, if you look at In the Moonlight, I want you to be very careful because Guy de Maupassant, who is the author of In the Moonlight, also wrote another selection called Moonlight. They are very, very different stories. So make sure that if you are looking up any sources or resources or using anything to help you, that it is referencing In the Moonlight and not Moonlight. I want you to choose the one of those that actually interests you, because if you do that, your writing is going to be stronger. You have a forum this week, as you do every week, and for this one, it's Forum 3. And in the forum, you're going to identify the theme of If Not Higher. Plus, you're going to explain one literary technique that develops that theme. Your post should be 200 to 300 words. It's going to have 2 citations. So your initial post will have 2 citations. You're also going to have 2 citations for each of your responses. So I want to make sure that you understand that. That's 6 total citations. Okay? Those citations are non-negotiable. They're very, very important, and they're how you get points. So you want to make sure you get the most points. So don't leave those citations out. Also, please don't just summarize the story. I want to see your interpretation. What did you really get from this by digging down deep. Also, you are, like I said, going to do two responses. So you're going to respond to two classmates. I want you to engage with their ideas and their evidence and have like a conversation with them, just as you would if we were having a class discussion. For your quiz, you're focusing on MLA format, which is the standard format that we use in English courses. So as much as possible, you should be using MLA in this English course. I know some of you are telling me, hey, I know APA better, or I know Chicago or Turabian better, and those are fine. But you still need that foundation in MLA for this course. So that's essential that you really get those skills down. Okay. You're also going to be working with some literary writing conventions. The quiz is open book and you get multiple attempts per question. So take your time and use it as a learning tool. You should be scoring high on these quizzes because they are open book. Finally, you have project 3, which is an essay, and this is your major point scoring assignment this week. You're going to write at least a 6-paragraph literary analysis essay. In that essay, you're going to identify a theme, analyze at least 3 literary techniques, and you're only using the story itself here. No outside sources. So don't pull anything else in. No lit charts, none of those things. None of that internet stuff. You're doing just the story itself, please. It's very, very, very important. What I want you to understand here is that I want your thinking and not Google's or not Chat's or Gemini's or any of those other things. I want to know what you think here. So while AI is a great tool, it should not be doing the heavy lifting here. Before you submit, I want you to carefully check that checklist that's posted and then revise. Also, review your originality report. When it submits to turn it in, make sure you know what it says because I'm going to know what it says, and then we can have a conversation if we need to. Remember that everything is due by Sunday at 11:59 Central Time. So pay attention to that. And also, this is a really fast-paced unit, and I don't want you to wait till the last minute. So if you want to do well this week, here's my advice. Start reading early. Take notes as you go. This one's really, really important. Track patterns and repeated ideas that you see in the reading. Make sure you use direct quotes effectively. So for every quote that you use in a paper that you're writing, you should have twice as much commentary. So if you do a direct quote from a source, then you should, and that's one sentence, you should have at least 2 sentences that are your own commentary about it. What does it mean? Why is it there? What made you use it? Those kinds of things. Remember to follow MLA format carefully. And remember this too, I'm not looking for a right answer. I'm looking for a well-supported interpretation. That's really, really, really important to me. This is where the unit really helps you start thinking like a writer and like an analyst. This is where you're getting these key analysis skills, and you can use that in a variety of jobs and a variety of things that you do in life. So stay curious, be thoughtful, trust your instincts in your reading, and make sure you follow directions carefully. If you do all of that, it's going to be a really strong week for you, and I'm looking forward to reading what you're going to write and produce. Have a great week and a blessed week. Let me know if I can help. Sign up for office hours if you need to. Those links are in the news section as well. Thank you.